And that shifts the planet. That shifts the planet uniquely. That's some of the causes of solar flares. That's some of the causes of the way that we have used our weapons in the past and the way that we will use weapons in the future. He said, don't think for one moment that your government has eliminated their nuclear weapons. They will not do so in your lifetime. They are not gone. They are not, they're closed off from use right now, but they are not gone. And there's a difference between being closed off from use and being completely eliminated, because you can't completely, fully eliminate something like that without eliminating Earth along with it. So some people who have been predicting that nuclear devices are gone from our planet, he said that will lead you astray. That false prediction will lead you astray, and that's not from him. So I wanted to correct that and let you know that he still sees people using missiles and nuclear weapons in the future, and that will affect, not wipe people out, but it will affect our potential to yield crops in a certain way that is conducive to modern agriculture. All right. So that means that we can't have our, use a different word, modern agriculture. That is, he said that's a political issue with the way that we use agriculture right now, that has to shift. Our, please use a different word. This word is so different than my totalitarian agriculture. That will have to shift, right? Because otherwise we're going to keep, blowing up certain lands and testing certain waters, and that's going to affect both our seas and our lands. When we test over waters and when we test on lands, that's having a long-standing effect. So he says this changes through the centuries, that the future is never meant to be looked at something that's written in stone, as you know, although many of his predictions did pan out and come true, that there are a lot of symbols in the way that he structured his most recent quatrains, that was structured in a way to be taken, like one quatrain can be taken many different ways depending upon how we grow and expand and handle our present times. That it could either be a symbol, an allegory, or completely literal. So that was kind of like, people were expecting prophecy to be like, okay, 2025, World War III is going to start, right? He said it could be allegory by the time that happens if we were to shift our lives now, if we were to shift the way that we utilize elements of the earth now, if we were to shift our hearts now. That could be a symbol, by the time that begins, and we could slow it down or stop it altogether. But right now we have not stopped it altogether. So he said that the events of World War III, for how he sees it, has been changing to a different type of war, and he knows that you're already on to what that means. That we're still headed into civil issues and civil wars, that our war and the way that we do war is changing. He said that the events leading up to World War III and the type of modern war that it is and the different war that it is, that's been changing. The events leading up to that has been changing throughout the centuries since his death. And he says that because of this new awareness that we have happened upon as we grow and expand, and because of the accelerating rate of the shifting of the Earth's crust and the aligning of the planets in a certain way that cause more of that, the conjunction of the planets, what he's causing it, that the war might be put off, not completely avoided, but put off for a lengthier period of time. He used to think it was 2025, and now he thinks we could put it off like all the way to 2028, possibly, that's still a possibility. And he said that's depending upon the speed at which we advance in our minds. And as for any civilization, when these natural disasters occur, that is more prominent than war in the same way as like taking over land or fighting for oil and fighting for land, right? Because when you're hungry, when you have food shortages, which are coming up by 2024, he says, when you're hungry, that makes a big difference on how you actually go into peace treaties with other countries and with your own country and your own governments. So that's interesting. He did talk a lot about the three antichrists, so we wanted to go over that.